Good afternoon, YouTube. So I'm trying to put together a power plug for my DC freezer, and I decided I would try one of these. I guess these are called DIN or European style power plugs. I guess the BMW uses this style, like especially on their motorcycles, and it's similar to the typical lighter socket, but it's got a much better retention mechanism. There's actually a spring clip in the bottom that grabs onto that end, and these things really shove together hard, and once they're in there, they're solid. So I guess that's why they use these on motorcycles, because they don't shake loose or anything. So I've got a pair of these in a box that my 24 volt power will terminate at, and I need to put a plug on the wire coming from the freezer. Now the wire that's on the freezer, I believe, is 8 gauge. These connectors or plugs inside, I don't think are set up to handle that large a wire. I tried 10 gauge and it won't quite fit in the holes in here. There's 2 holes with screw clamps. Maybe 10 gauge solid might fit in there, but even so, the 12 gauge is about all I can get in there. And then there's this strain relief part, and there's no way that I could fit 2 10 gauge in there. But I was able to get a couple of 12 gauge wires in there. They fit in the terminals, but it's a really tight fit inside here. So let me show you what I had to do. So you can see there's these 2 posts. There's a retaining screw that goes through to hold the 2 halves of this together, and then that clamps the plug on one end and then clamps the strain relief on the other end. So what I had to do to get this to fit is that post was a little too fat, especially this bottom one. This is the one you have to fit the wires around there. So I took my Dremel flex shaft, put a small burr on there, and just took down the outside of this stud a little bit. I didn't want to go through all the plastic, because then you have the screw that could short the wires there. It's still a really tight fit. There we go. So it snaps around there, and I spread the wires apart as far as I could, but then they have to come back together to fit into this strain relief. And this I could plug into 12 volts as well, but I figure having these different connectors, I'll remember that these are 24 volt, they're different, and I didn't want to put like a 2-prong AC plug on there. You could make the mistake and plug that into a wall receptacle and blow the thing up. Now you can also get these plugs in a screw-on style as well, where you put your wire inside and then there's a screw-on thing. This one I couldn't get as big a wire in there. With this one you have to run like the hot wire out of the middle and then bend around this ground post out here, and there's just no separation in there. All you have is the insulation on the wire, versus this style, the clamshell one, there's a divider inside of here. So we're gradually getting this place cleaned up. I got all the drywall patching done, and got a couple coats of primer and some paint on there. And yeah, then I run my power feed over here. So this is my 24 volt DC power receptacle here. So originally my plan was to come down beside the cabinet there. I think that gives me like 45 inches, and the freezer is about 41. So the freezer will be just out to right about where my thumb is there. I figured it was easier to bring the power in down and over. Yeah, I've got that there, and then I've got the wire run through there up to the top of the wall, and I have another box up there. So yeah, then I put another box up at the top of the wall, and I bring my 10 gauge CL3 power cable in there. That heavy cable has the proper insulation, and it's rated for unprotected use. That's basically heavy-duty rated speaker cable. It's got the proper UL listing and everything. And then the wire inside the wire mold is just 2-conductor 10-gauge wire. Okay, I just wanted to show you the problem I ran into with these sockets here. So this is the one style plug that I have, and this one actually works in both of them. You can see it plugs in and it pulls out really hard, and also plugs in there and pulls out. But if I take this other style plug, this was the one with the clamshell versus the screw type, and that one, if I plug it in here, it goes in and you get that nice solid pull. But if I go into this one, you can see it'll pop out. The little clips down there don't quite grab that end. Yeah, there is just a very slight difference. This one's a little bit longer. This one works in here, so I'm just going to swap that socket. I can't see any difference in these, but one of them works and one doesn't. Change the one that doesn't work right now. So anyway, I'll show you when I get everything fixed up, and we'll see if this works. So stay tuned for that, and as always, thanks for watching.